All right. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Forex.Today. Let me remind you that trading Forex is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. So please always stay small, stay humble, focus on the long, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Wow, my voice is actually clear today. I don't think it's perfect, but it's been pretty scratchy recently, hasn't it? Cool. Well, we got something to be thankful for. Hey, my name is Wayne McDonell. I'm the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay. We're a broker. You're a trader. Let's make wonderful music together. We do these strategy sessions every single day, 7:30 in the morning, New York time, which is approximately London lunch, and we do that Monday through Thursday here at Forex.Today and every Friday at fxstreet.com, where I am also Forex Speaker of the Year. Christian wants to cover oil. I'll be happy to cover oil. So as a trader at TradersWay with Traders Wayne, you can trade Forex, energies, metals, indices, all those wonderful things. Yeah. Just a quick update on the world here. Not a lot on the calendar this week, so really it comes down to Fed meeting, and then after that it just comes down to Brexit. S&P futures up 0.2%. Most interesting part of that is not down. As I said, not down when you're at resistance is a big deal, isn't it? Crude oil over $51 a barrel, up 1.32%. And the yield on the 10-year T-note has dropped all the way down to 1.71, which means there's a rally in the bond market. And the stock market's going up. Huh! Whale oil be. Euro USD is still flat. DAX down 0.5%. FTSE flat. Hang Seng kind of down a little bit. Dollar index generally down. Yen's generally down as well. So if you look at the USD yen, it seems like nothing happened. That's because you should be long yen pairs, right? So we'll cover that. So what do we have today? We got some mortgage applications, Canadian housing, Canadian building permits, US JOLTS job report. It's Wednesday, so it must be oil inventory day by the Department of Energy. Yup. So for Bouchon that's interested in oil, that makes a ton of sense. And in fact, I have, is it still up? Is it still around? Yeah, over here. Maybe we should talk about it now. This is the Baker Hughes rig count. We were talking about this a couple of days ago, where the first time in quite some time, we had a change in trend. So this is a report that basically counts rigs, oil rigs, Gulf of Mexico, for example. That would be U.S. rigs, right? And whether they're adding to the number of rigs or mothballing them. Well, as you know, when oil dropped from $100 a barrel to $26 a barrel, clearly a lot of these rigs need to be turned off because they were just not really profitable. And the world really didn't need any more oil, right? So for the longest time, the number of rigs that were in production, which means if they're in production, they're adding to supply, held in Cushing, Oklahoma, and if supplies are up and demand is constant, then the price of oil should drop, all else being equal, right? So anyways, the number of rigs producing oil has been falling and 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 falling. And then last week, what? 4 came on the line, 9 globally, week over week. What? See, let's take a look. We have 460 less rigs producing oil than last year. That's more than half. So more than 50% of all the oil rigs in the United States have been shut down. Except last week, we turned some on. What? Really? Really? Isn't that interesting? Canada turned 2 off, and then internationally, 9 came on for a total of 13. So, therefore, at some point, and I don't know how long it takes to turn one of these things on before oil starts coming out of the ground, and they put it on ships and they bring it to port, and the port puts it in the pipeline puts it into storage, waiting for refineries to buy it, right? I don't know that process. But eventually, whether it's this week, next week, or next month, I would assume relatively soon, we're going to see more oil in supply. And what will that do to price, all else being equal? I'm going down in a burning ring of fire. I go down, 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 and the flames get higher, and it burns, burns, burns. That ring of fire, that ring of fire. Yeah! Arta, why do I expect that? More rigs are producing more oil. More oil, I don't know, how quickly are we drawing down? Do we need more oil? But the more important thing is, 13 rigs were brought online when oil was at $50 a barrel. So one might guess is that's probably, production that will be potentially profitable. Okay. Remember, the magic number is closer to 60, you would think, for like frackers, for example, which don't get counted here, but right? And there's some rumors that I've been hearing that I can't really confirm with solid data, but some frackers are fracking. So ranging near 50. Well, that's what I'm alluding to, where I don't know what the magic price is, but I am assuming demand is constant. You want to talk about that for a half a second here? Do you guys expect demand for energy to spike in the near term? Miles, I don't know. Well, everyone's independent on that, or frackers are independent, so not necessarily everyone, but I think some. I mean, if you got to be careful with the language, right? So maybe 3 dudes in Pennsylvania turn theirs on. Doesn't mean the whole industry's fracking again, right? But Peter says U.S. summer. Well, inventories peaked June 1st, right? I've covered that with you guys before based on 50 years of analysis. June 1st seems to be when oil inventories peak, and then we draw it down. And the reason that happens is we build up inventories in anticipation for the driving season, right? So, okay, fine. But, that's within the normal range, right? Now, I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago, I went to the Department of Energy and I look at their weekly energy report, and I showed you that there's a 2 standard deviation sort of normal supply level, not just where we are now and what the trend is, but the Bollinger Bands above and below the average trend, right? And we're way outside of even the Bollinger Bands. We're like 3 standard deviations away from normal. So, that's, even though this is the time when we have lots of oil. We have way more oil than that, right? So the thing is, we're going to need an unusual amount of demand to bring that just back to the normal levels of high oil, right? So the question is, if you believe that demand is going to show up, I'd like to know where it's going to come from, right? You see what I mean? And if you don't have a solid number on that, then we'll say, well, what, let's say demand will be on trend, that there won't be a spike in demand. So the next question is on the supply side of the equation. Well, what about oil? Well, I'm doing things like dipping into the fine details here to help you develop alpha, your ability to be smarter than everybody else in the market, in particular to beat the market, right? So last week, one of the things that we were looking at was the Challenger Christmas and Gray report for not just mass layoffs, but there was a subcomponent of their report that talked about their surveys of clients that use their services for future hiring thoughts. As an employer, are you thinking of hiring more people? And the answer to that was actually, yeah, a lot of their clients were thinking about in the near future hiring more people. And most of that was in the service sector. And that was interesting because that will be part of the whole consumption picture, household consumption, which then points to if that's going to increase, then you got income, wages, jobs, inventories, industrial production, capacity utilization. All these things get kind of tied into that consumption, which is roughly 70% of all of GDP in the United States. And so all that is kind of interesting. But now I'm getting into these really fine-grained details trying to make you successful. You're more importantly, you understanding why, right? So anyways, now you're watching rig counts, right? Cool. So yeah, all else being equal, this could go up for a while, but maybe this week, next month, I don't know, whenever that oil hits supply, could bring this down. Okay? So we'll see. So, your job here is, if you are still bullish, you need to buy dips. In this case, back to the 21 is a pretty good buy. Seems like we have the up, 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 down, down, buy, up, 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 right? Down, down, buy, up, 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 up. And you keep doing that until you get a lower low. Okay? Now, if you're a hardcore bear and you're just waiting, then your job is to pick your lines. Where are you going to sell? Okay? And you might not see it here. So what you do is, just like everything else, you do your analysis, right? So how about monthly R1 at $51.70? What? Oh, no, you didn't. Uh-huh. So how about in there? Weekly R2, monthly R1. Okay, this spikes up a little bit, never hits 52 and drops. Well, if you were a bear, that's what you'd be planning, right? Do you think New Zealand will cut? Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't I? Right, that's another way of answering it. Give me 3 reasons why they won't. Is it a problem, Greg, do you think? Yeah, Artem says he thinks I probably will. Yeah, they probably will, right? Just waiting. Well, you can't do it in the summer. So if they have concerns, they need to do it now or they're going to do it in September, right? I've been very clear on my opinion about all central bankers, right? I've always told people that central bankers are incapable of doing things in the summer, right? So yeah, I think they would cut. Um, my my research has also shown that I forget which banks now. I think it was like Deutsche Bank, Morgan Stanley, and I think one other all issued reports to their clients about New Zealand is going to cut interest rates. One of the banks said they're not going to cut interest rates, but they're going to tell people they're going to cut interest rates, which is what they're trying to do is to see if they can get the results without actually having to do the ugly deed, right? So they might just say, yeah, we're going to cut in September. You know what I'm talking about? That's all I know about that. Which pair, question says, which pair would be the best to play Kiwi? Well, which one are you a bull on? Have you guys left comments and feedback for Daniel? He's got a Kiwi yen play set for you. First thing you should do, if you appreciate him posting his analysis, right, you should at least like it, bare minimum. Oh, I'm not logged in. At a bare minimum, you should give him a like to say, hey, man, that's the kind of stuff I want to see. That's what's on my mind. Thank you, Daniel. So he has weekly R1, yesterday high at 75, blah, 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 blah. Very nice, right? Yeah, give him some feedback. Like I said, make it your community. Right? Boostron says yes, but he doesn't like buying yen at the moment. Well, put that down. So, have you thought about when the Bank of Japan would intervene if they do intervene? Have you Googled it and say, well, anyway, sorry, I'm looking around here. CAD still rip roaring awesome, huh? Amazing. I was in that trade a long time. All right, so sorry, let me continue. So there's some resistance there. If you're interested, you would create some trade plans. How you doing with the Mexican peso, eh? Great, huh? So remember on June 1st, I've taught you to expect the first day of the month, or let's say about the first day of the month. You want to look for this pair to head down. And sometimes it heads down for a day, sometimes it heads down for farther. Or I should say longer than a day. Holy smokes, eh? Look at that. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Now, would you have expected that? No. But if you were a bear on this, right? Where's the projected high for the week if you were a bear? M3. So that is here. Okay. Notice that yesterday's or last week's high is here. So that's just slightly above where you are. And then based on that high, what's your conservative target? M1, which is the top of the green zone. Okay. Where's your aggressive target? S2. That's here. And you're supposed to take profit, here. And if you didn't, you might say, well, Wayne, look it, I'm just killing it here. And I say, yeah, good for you, but you lack discipline. But congratulations. You're like, why are you like that, man? How come you always But no, you're like, really? You didn't get out of the daily support, weekly support. Why not? Oh, well, I was hoping, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, great trade, but you lack discipline. Now, if you got out here, some people say, don't, right? Oh, if I had only stayed in, I'd be making... Why do you torture yourself like that? Is it predictable that you're going to blow right through the weekly and daily support? Is that predictable? Okay. It's like, let's say you're playing a card game at a casino. If you know what you're doing, you're kind of playing the odds, aren't you? Right? Are you betting big on a 7-3 offsuit? You're like, oh, 7-3? Clubs and diamonds? Yeah, I'm gonna bet heavy on this one, right? Like that's my lucky number, 37. But 73 is also my lucky number. It's my lucky day. All in. The dealer's like, are you sure, sir? He doesn't even have the ethics to take your money like that, right? Sir, are you sure you want to do that on a 7-3? But I have 2 10s on the table, sir. This is my lucky number. Yeah. So you're like, you kind of have to play the odds, right? If you're going to be in the game a long time. Right? Miles says maybe it's bad the NFP justified the short position. Well, of course. To keep it, yeah. Okay, so what could you argue here? Give me the argument where, you're standing in front of the judge and jury here. What's the argument to stay short through the S2, right, weekly S2, daily S1? That is a pivot cluster, my friend. That are reversed to the... give me something more than that. I just knew it was going to turn. Give me something more than that. And I don't even know if it exists, so we'll have to take a look at it. Give me, like, hard information. You can't expect. Expect doesn't mean anything to me. When the first week play money flow, yeah, no. I mean, look, every month there's some sort of money flow, but you never know if it's going to drop, for 3 days or 3 weeks, right? So there's some other pieces going in there. So how about this? This is what I'm looking for, Miles. If you said to me, there's a monthly reversal pivot there at the top, therefore, my June plan is to be short this, basically for 3 weeks. Because now it's not even your opinion anymore. You're like, boom, I sold it up high here with that monthly pivot. So I have a monthly pivot point plan, and boy, do I feel good about this after that non-farm payrolls. right? Because I might have been playing, peso strength, and on top of that, I got horrible dollar weakness. Great, perfect storm, right place, right time. So I don't know if that exists, by the way. I don't know if the monthly's in there. You could be the greatest. You could be the best. You could be the King Kong pounding on your chest. Living in the house of Wayne. Yeah, so it don't exist none, son. Right? So that plan would be poo-poo. I would poo-poo on that. I don't see monthly pivots. All right. So, but if it had existed, let's say it was monthly R1, weekly R1, or that kind of thing, yeah, then yeah, okay. Okay, but that would be the argument that I would find acceptable. And then I'd say, all right, good argument. You got it. There's nothing I can say against that. Cool. So what's the hard fact to not get out? Well, that's what I'm saying. If you were disciplined, you would have gotten out. You would have been tickled pink to get out at this. Like, for example, let's just use past performance. Okay? What happened in this pivot profit zone? Should you have stayed long? Hmm? Or would it have been acceptable to get out at R2? Okay? How about here? Should you have stayed long? Right? So it's just like what happens most of the time, right? What are the odds? So let's, is it this one? I got weeklies. Let's double check. Weekly true. You could be the King Kong pounding on your chest. Okay. It's one of these things, right? Would it have been logical and intelligent to stay long this, or would it have been acceptable to get out? It did go higher, but what was the logic to stay long there? Okay, let's reverse here. This is the predicted bottom of the week. And by the way, that bottom was predicted by this top. Just kind of need to point that out. So on Tuesday, you would have sold it. Friday at 4:45 in the afternoon. We're right there. Would it be advisable to take profit, or should you hang on and hope it goes farther? What's the logical intelligence? How do you play the odds on this one? Hold it or fold it? By the way, based on this top, your target is M1. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. This is USD Mexican Peso weekly pivot points. I'm not making this stuff up. It's in the book. You can't get any more textbook in this. Hold it or fold it. Okay? Okay? In here, what should you do? What's the logical, intelligent thing to do? In particular, on Tuesday or Wednesday, are you thinking it's going up here? I mean, again, what do? Do you fold it in there and say, well, I bought it here and got out there. Oh, but it went, it went that much farther. I could have made all that money. And of course, if you didn't get out here, Why would you suddenly have the discipline to get out here in no man's land? And maybe that just spiked up there because back then it was a monthly pivot, so it kind of clustered the resistance and then collapsed, right? What about here? The predicted bottom for the week on a Friday. Hold it or fold it. It's Friday, man. Take your profit. By the way, that was preceded by a top at M3, which then does predict that bottom. Are you starting to, like, is it starting to click? Isn't that just like redonkulous? Like, you're like, Wayne, I never trade USD Mexican peso, but look at that sucker. It trades like, right, like clockwork. All right, so let's look at this. This is a really tough week. Would you have expected it to make a higher high above that pivot profit zone? Do you hold it at M4 or do you fold it at the pivot profit zone? The opposite of all, you could long in and hunting stops. Okay, but anyway, so then it drops down here. Did you know? Did you know it was going to drop all the way down? What are the odds? Yeah, it went a little farther down, but what happened just a few, 2 days later? It's rallying. You're like, well, I could have just gotten out of here and walked away, right? What would you rather be doing? Is this a comfortable hold down here? Or do you feel uncomfortable? I think I feel uncomfortable because I don't know what it's going to do. I'm like, what the hell's it doing down here? Right? And then you feel bad, right? Oh, well, I got out at S2. I could have waited to M0. Like, is M0 even a pivot? Okay. Okay. Let's take a look. The week before that, M3 is the top, pivot profit zone's the target. Oh my gosh. What should you do here, guys? It's Wednesday or Thursday morning. You're in your pivot profit zone. Hold it or fold it. Isn't that interesting? M3 to M1, right? M3 to M1. And it goes on and on. We've seen it multiple times now, right? About 4 or 5 times. We've seen perfect M3 to M1 moves. It's funny how it's perfect, right? Top of the week. Target. Right? Again, what are you doing here? What are the odds? Hold it or fold it? Yeah. Hey, you're welcome. You know? Even on the, so what I'm also trying to say is even on the days where you're like, or weeks, I should say, that you're way up here, you should be uncomfortable. That wasn't part of the plan. And on the long run, you're better off, taking profit where you're supposed to take profit. Right? That's why it's red. This is why it's green. And then also notice that almost always the counter trend works to some point. Right? Up, down. Le flétalement. Yeah, I see it. It's got a big pivot down there on the USD kitty cat. I'm just reviewing this news about the Hungarian central bank meeting minutes from May. There was a dissenter. Whale oil be. So that's that. Just, interesting, right? So it went farther than the pivot profit zone. So what? Right? Fool's gold. Oh, if I had only stayed short. Who cares? Right? All right. Nope. You could be the greatest. You can be the best. All right, so, huh. How do you feel about this? Stefan says, so do you buy USD Mexican peso now? I didn't say that. I mean, you could, but I just don't like the fact it's out there. But do you counter trend that? Do you mean reversion, the sucker? That's your call, man. As long as you think about it up front and you're like, man, this is mean reversion. It's not supposed to be this far. Okay, then as long as you call the shot, it's okay, right? You got to call it before you sink it. All right, so what's the plan, guys, on this one? This is Euro Yen. Sell this one off the weekly central pivot. Okay. Started at M2. So you're looking for M4. Yes. If you are a bull, you are required by bullish law to be long here at the monthly M1, weekly M2. 188 on the Canadian housing starts. About as expected. So no major good news out of that. All right. So if you're a bear, if you're a bull, you're required by law to do that, right? Okay, good. What else do you see? What if you're a bear? If you're a bear, you're supposed to be short here. And if you're kind of anywhere in the middle here, as the great foreign exchange trader and singer dancer Michael Jackson once said, "You're the ignorant. You're the ignorant." Yeah, yeah. So, you're, right, you're a bull. Up here, you're a bear. And by the way, I have no problem you dumping this on a Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning, right? I mean, that's perfect. And in here, you're a pig. Miles says, why not short at the weekly pivot point? You're just slow as molasses on a cold Georgia morning, though. That's all. It's just, I mean, I don't know. Your odds are maybe 50-50. Yeah, it's slow, man. It's just to me, you're out of position because I think the bears have sold this. I think the bulls have bought it. And you're trading in the middle. Like, if you're not a pig, then you're the monkey in the middle. It's one of the analogies, right? I'm just saying that pigs get slaughtered and you're in the middle. I don't know. Who the hell's going to win that fight? Who? Why? Right? It's like the NBA Finals. You know what? Both teams are pretty good. Okay? So, like, that's it. So, if you're going to sell high. If you're going to buy low. I mean, where were you Monday morning? I was a bear. Well, then why did then you're not a bull, right? If you're a bear here, you're not buying here. That's it. And if you are a bear, wouldn't you sell here? 50% on M3? I mean, isn't that just like a textbook? Like, you open it up. Forex 101, pivot point theory. If you're a bear, sell at M3. Okay. Right? Right? I mean, it's not any more complicated than that, right? So in here, you're just late, and what's happening is it could easily just do this, and you get slaughtered. Okay? That's all. So I'd rather you say, all right, I'm a bull. Monday morning, you need to be here, guys. Right there. Monday morning. Monday morning. You need to say, oh, monthly support pivot, weekly support pivot. All right, well, it's kind of a dangerous trade here, but I can see the counter trend. So you take that, and even if it's just a day trade, you take the shot. Even if you're a bear, you could still say, well, I kind of just want to play this. And, so let's say you buy it in here. For me, it's Sunday afternoon. And after the first move, you move your stop to break even. And you're like, you know what? I'm really a bear. So what I'm trying to do is sell somewhere between the weekly central and the M3. London Open on Tuesday, you're like, oh, snap. Right? And it's just simple trade planning. Okay? But again, I don't know what would happen in here. Okay? I don't know what would happen there. If I was a bull, wouldn't I buy it? Right? Isn't that the obvious place for a bull to buy? Right? Yeah, of course it's a fib, right, Peter? Like, so if you're a bull, wouldn't you buy there? Like, what else would you be doing? And Peter says fib wars. Well, no, it's because of that. It's because you're the monkey in the middle. You're the pig in the slaughterhouse, right? You should be nervous. You're like, wait, this is a slaughterhouse. Right? You're like, oh man, I must be the pig. Right? He's got an axe. He's got a club. Right? I don't have anything. I must be the pig. So yeah, you should be careful, right? So that's it. Like, that could be bullish, right? That could be totally bullish. So how would a bear behave in that area? What's a bear going to do on this, guys? Sell at the weekly central. Right, Miles? So what's the end result? This is probably what will happen here between now and London close. And then who will break out? Well, if I knew that, I would trade in the middle. But I don't know that, right? Yeah, Miles is no, now I'm confused. No, I'm just saying, look, if you're a bear, sell it high, not in the middle. If you're Bull, buy it low, not in the middle. So which one's going to win today? I don't know. It seems to me it's a coin toss, 50-50. Okay? And I need better odds than that. You know what? I want free money. There's two ways to fish. The fair way, where you go out on the lake with your canoe, and the fish are jumping into the canoe. You don't even have a fishing pole. They're just jumping into the canoe, and you're like, wow, man, I need a bigger canoe. Okay? The second way is to go out in the canoe, again, no fishing rod, light a stick of dynamite, and drop it down, and wait. A bunch of fish float to the surface. You just scoop them up with the net. Head home. You don't want to be a sucker out there for 5 hours throwing a line. Oh, I think he bit. Oh, I almost had him. Almost had him. Should know M2. No, we were already there. That's what I'm saying, Miles. That's what you should have been doing Monday morning. Someone already played that. Oops, I keep trying to draw. Come on, drawing tool. All right, so that's already done. People already did that. That's done, right? So now you better hope, or these guys that are in here with their stop at break even, if they add another position to take us up here, then you lose at the weekly central. Are they going to do it? I don't know. And again, they're either going to do it or they're not going to do it. I don't know how you could make that decision. Yeah, it's just you're. I think that's what I said right off the bat, right? You're like crazy late, unbelievably late. Like, you're trading Monday's trade on a Wednesday morning. Yeah. So that's the other thing, guys. You need to have intent. Okay, like one of the reasons I'm here now, I'm trying to like change the way you think so that you can look at your trades and trade plans differently. You need to rush to your desk when the broker's open. Okay, for me, it's Sunday afternoon. So it's really like dinner time, right? Sunday. And you sit down, and you're like, new pivots, new pivots, new pivots, new pivots. Okay? And you should just be like hungry, salivating. You're pacing. You're pacing a Sunday afternoon. The pivots are coming. The pivots are coming. I can't wait. I can't wait. The pivots are coming. And then, you're like, oh, it's 5:55. Only 5 more minutes on my new pivots. This is what I do. Okay. Yeah, Miles is like, same with M3. It's too late. You're like, that's what I'm saying. Right? Where were you if you were a bear? So you can't make these decisions on the fly, guys. If you're a bear, you need to be ready. What were you doing at M3? Oh, I thought it might go higher. Well, look, no trade plan. That just screams no trade plan. I thought it might go higher. Well, I thought if you were a bear, you'd say, holy crap, M3. I got to be ready. It's my job. By definition, I need to be ready on this. If this turns red, holy crap, it just turned dramatically red. I think I'll wait a day and a half. And maybe the short tomorrow afternoon. Like what goes through the mind, right? Well, nothing's going on there. So you're either brain dead, which I don't think, because I know you to be smart. So then it just tells me, well, you just didn't have a trade plan. You were not waiting in ambush. You didn't say, Wayne, I'm a bear. I've been waiting since Monday morning. Stupid thing opened up right at that weekly M2. That sucks. I wasted my whole Monday waiting, right? But as soon as we breached above that weekly central pivot, I was getting itchy. Whew. But my patience paid off. London Open at the M3, instant red candle, shorted it way up there, right? Now you're short at 122.50, only 15 pips off the actual high for the entire week. Stops at break even. Now we just hope those bulls don't get back in. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm saying, right, Rob? You need to organize your thinking. What I call it is intent. Right? I never sit down and say, I wonder what's going on. I wonder if I should be buying now. No. Who the hell does that? Right? So you're like, okay, Monday morning, pivots. How about the first day of the month? Monthly pivots. And what are you doing? Monthly trades, position trades. Is there something I can catch in the next couple of days, because now we're talking monthly pivots, where I can get a trade at a perfect spot and be able to hold that trade for 3 weeks instead of 3 days or 3 hours? Is there an opportunity where I'm willing, even if I'm up 50 or 100 pips, I'm not willing to take profit? Do I have any situations like that? Right? And now you have intent. You're looking for a trade you're going to hold, not for 3 hours, but for 3 weeks. Is there anything out there that'll give you that conviction, while at the same time, because you enter your trades on a smaller time frame, be able to manage and then reduce the risk to zero? Because I love to be in a situation where, hey, in the next 2 weeks, I either make 500 pips or I lose 1 pip. You see what I mean? Right? And that's it. You're just like, well, I'm up 150. Great. Well, I either make 500 or I lose 1 pip. Okay. Now you say, well, then you look at your monthlies and they're not going to be perfect. And you're like, well, actually, you need it a little higher before I can sell it. Great. What do the weeklies say? Are there weekly clusters? Is there a weekly pivot profit zone overlapping or near that your monthly setup for your monthly pivot points? And you're like, well, actually, yeah, the monthly M3 is clustered over this week's weekly R2. Well, guess what? We're going up to weekly R2. So we're going to go up for 3 days, and then we're going to go down for 3 weeks. Trade plan, 2 trade plans. Right? It's going to go up for 100 pips. It's going to drop for 500 pips. Intent. Intent. And the reason it's important is it's how your mind actually works. Right? It's how your mind works. Perception creates reality. So if you're looking for monthly setups with your monthly pivot points on the first day of the month, guess what? You're going to see them. So if you ever get yourself caught in a situation where, like, you come to the webinars, I go through the charts, we talk about things, you're like, that totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. That seems so clear and so straightforward and almost easy. And then I go away, and 3 hours later, you open your charts, you're looking around, you're like, I have no idea what's going on. Everything is so complicated and confusing. Right? I don't know what's going on. It's because you're lacking intent, and you think your charts are going to tell you. It seems easy because I'm telling you. And why does it seem easy? Because I've already thought about it, and I have intent. And of course, I don't waver too. I'm not one of these gray area guys most of the time, right? Somebody sent me a text a couple of days ago saying, hey, I need advice from you, Wayne. I'm like, awesome, because I have so many opinions and I've just been waiting to give them to people. They've just been waiting for somebody to be given to. I have so many opinions, I don't know what to do. Like the old woman in the shoe, right? And by the way, the old woman in the shoe had so many children she didn't know what to do. The shoe stinks. So my house with full of my opinions, yeah, they stink too, right? But you got to let them out every once in a while, right? So yeah, the opinions, not the shoes. Yeah. So anyways, you got to get opinionated. It's kind of your job. Okay. Let's stay away from Beast. Let's stay away from Ozzy. Well, I guess we have to talk about this. Okay, what are you going to do here? Who's going to buy this? Somebody's going to buy it. Who, sir? Yeah. Hey, do we have any event risks coming up? Oh yeah, yeah. New Zealand's probably going to cut interest rates. Yeah, but maybe they don't, right? Maybe they don't. Wow. Crazy, huh? What do you think? You a buyer in there? So I'll then argue and I'll say, well, where the heck were you on Monday when we opened at weekly M2? What was your intent? Let me reverse the question now. If on Monday you were salivating, let's say for me it's Sunday afternoon. I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm pacing. I hope I can buy the Kiwi yen. I hope I can buy the Kiwi yen. I hope I hope it opens near M2. I hope WM2. Please be at WM2. Please be at WM2. And then we get this behavior. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's bouncing at weekly M2. Higher high, higher low. Right? I mean, if you had that intent, would you have missed this trade? Right? Is it even possible for you to miss this trade if you were waiting and begging for it and praying? Please open that weekly M2. Please. Right? No. So if anything, if you've been trading Forex for over a year, and you're developing pretty reasonable technical analysis and all that kind of stuff, if you haven't found success, it's because you're still looking to the charts for answers. Okay? Where do the answers exist? In your alpha. Thank you. You're the one that has the answers. If I was a client, I'm like, hey, Miles, I need some help, buddy, with, I have some money I need managed. And you're like, I have no idea what to do. I have no idea, dude. Right? You get it? You're like, no, you said, wow, you know what? I'm a foreign exchange trader. This is what I do. I'm very passionate about global macroeconomics, central banking policy, and there are some major central banking policy divergences that are moving the markets. So, let's go through some of the things that I think will happen in the near future. And there might be some opportunities to invest some of your money, with as little risk as possible. And that just really comes down to my risk management techniques, which we could talk about in greater detail, right? And the guy says, well, okay, that's interesting. And you're like, so tell me more. You're like, well, one of the things I'm trying to do in the second half of the year is to start selling Japanese yen. I believe it's overbought on risk aversion. We had some, capital flows at the year end, right? Fiscal year end as well as calendar year end. And, I'm anticipating that those flows are going to end. And, numbers are picking up in Europe and stuff like that. And once we get past the event risks of a central bank rate hike and Brexit, then I think what will happen is markets will tend to calm down. We'll start to look at the longer term. We'll start to look at the election in the United States in November. And I think what we should do is just expect global GDP to improve. So I'm thinking maybe slowly tiptoeing into Japanese yen shorts and looking at commodities improving based on my 5-year outlook for growth. So in that case, what I'm thinking about is looking at New Zealand, Australia, Canada versus the Japanese yen, and I'm a bull. My technique is to buy at M2 and go for M4, and then I like to take profit, and I don't like to carry risk into the weekends because I'm risk averse. So let's talk about my risk management techniques, because that is in fact one of my risk management techniques. Blah 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 blah. And we're like, dude, this guy's got answers. Yeah. And then he's like, well, I have $100,000 and I'll give it to you. And if you do really well over, I could, I can put in some more. And then you need to say, no, thank you. Maybe next year. When you're ready, we'll talk next year. Seems like you're really not sure. You're still in the research and all that kind of stuff. So why don't you sit down and talk with some other money managers? Maybe they can get you into some hedge funds. Maybe they can buy some money markets with your cash, or maybe they can pick some good stocks. And the guy's like, oh, I'm already in all those. Well, let me know when you're. Let's talk. Let's just regroup next year. The guy's like, but wait, but. Yeah. No, but the thing is, how do you do all of that, right? If you don't have any opinions? And how can you have an opinion if you haven't done your research? Okay? So, like I said, the difference now is not technical analysis. It's that you woke up, or let's say all your buddies are watching golf and they're like, dude, McElroy is on the 15th. Where are you going, dude? And you're like, you know what? 7 hours of golf is enough TV for me. But I have the Auckland, New Zealand Open, and I have some research I need to do for the trading week. So I got to go, yo. But thanks for the cheese dip. That was great. Right? And then you sit down at your charts, and Monday morning opens up, and you're like, please be at M2. Please be at M2. Please be at M2. And guess what? Boom. Right? Boom. This thing's climbing stairs. Stairway to heaven. What's your target? If we can get through this cluster, which we may not, it's resistance. But if we can, you're up here on Friday taking your profit into the weekend, and you're like, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. In at 74, it's only like 200 pips. It's nothing. But that's pathetic for a yen pair, but okay. Yeah, so, dude, that was an awesome spinach dip. And the way your wife got that little bread bowl thing, you guys are awesome. That's class right there. That's class. Why Auckland, New Zealand, and not Sydney? Auckland is before Sydney. You don't like the Auckland? Yeah, man. You gotta pay respect. What do you mean it's irrelevant? Oy vey, miles, just miles. Oy vey. Come on, Miles. It's the it's the it's the exact moment weekly pivots come out. That I'm trying to communicate that the second it opens, I'm there, and I already know what I'm going to do. I just don't know if I'm going to get the opportunity. All right. So I'm like uh, I'm like a trained assassin, a heavily armed trained assassin, because I'm walking in and I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to win. Right? Yeah, Russ. So Wayne, this Kiwi yen looks toppish. Yeah, I agree. You know, another way of saying it is, you know, I wouldn't say toppish. I mean, it could be, right? But is this a buying opportunity that looks good? No, done. Okay, that's it. So, you know, I'm just pretty black and white, right? But on Monday, you're like, you know what, this could double bottom here at the M2, and therefore I'm going to go up to the M4, higher high, higher low. So by Monday on New York, jam the stop, take a walk, you're done. Don't, you know, I don't know, just you're done. Okay. And like I said, this is probably a pathetic currency pair to be traded at the moment, anyways. What happens if they don't raise interest rates and they don't say anything about? I mean, if they don't cut interest rates and this week and they don't cut and they don't tell us they're going to cut in the future, well, people are going to say, well, I can pick up that 2.25% for the summer to get another 3 months out of this thing. And do you think that matters in a world where the German 10-year T-note pays basically zero? Do you think picking up 2.25 leveraged is an interesting proposition, even if it's only for the next 90 days? Yeah, absolutely it is. In fact, it's the whole point. You know what I mean? It's like it is the point. And I think we're out of time. So peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. And I'm already super excited about meeting up with you again tomorrow. And I actually mean that. Like, no joke. That's just not like how a stewardess says, bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. 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 I'm like, is she drunk? Probably, right? No, man, I already miss you and I haven't even left it. So if you could go through the site, leave your thoughts, leave your comments, all that kind of stuff. Make this a successful community that you're involved in, and maybe one day I can make you a leader of this community. Let me tell you, the world needs more leaders. So peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average, and I will see you tomorrow. Cheers.